Hi, my name is Georgia. I'm an Australia-based graphic designer. This channel, Studio Pantofolaio, has been following me on my creative journey to getting the job of my dreams. And yeah, this past weekend I have gone to Knotfest, which is a big metal festival in Australia. We went to the Sydney festival and it was a ball. Like, I loved it. It was my first time seeing most of the bands live. I've seen a handful of them, but first time seeing most of them, and it was very exciting getting to see Slipknot for the first time, as well as A Day to Remember. I've loved A Day to Remember since I was like 15 and just always been obsessed with them, so it was just like a really amazing experience to have. But unfortunately, I don't take many videos while I'm there, but the videos I did take, Instagram doesn't like them, and I wanted to upload them so you guys could see them on Instagram. But for some reason, Instagram is putting the frame rate down and makes it look like a little stop motion animation, which is cool, but not really, to be honest. So yeah, I've decided to make a little beat synced edit of my little clips. The clips aren't the greatest quality for this kind of thing, as my handheld abilities with a phone are tremendously terrible. But yeah, I just thought I would bring you along as I am working on another really big video for the end of the month that I'm very excited to release. It just needs a little bit more time. So yeah, I thought I would talk you through my process of making reels for Instagram while I make this one for me for my Instagram. So yeah, hope you enjoy. So I started out, as you would always start out in After Effects, by creating a new composition, and then I began to write out my text. I highly recommend using a blocky text for this editing technique, as it's a lot more legible than a finer line text. It still looks cool, it's just a lot harder to read when it's condensed. So the blockier the text, the better. So the next thing I did was apply a mesh wrap effect in the effect and presets panel. This effect essentially warps the text, applying it to that grid pattern. So only if you manipulate an apex of the grid pattern, only that section will move and warp. The rest will stay untouched. This is really good for text, so it's still legible. However, you are gonna see the mistake I made because I was following a tutorial on this effect. I'll link it in the description below if you want to follow along, but essentially he didn't have his text fully on the edges of the composition like mine is almost touching. So he did 4 columns across and his text only fell into 2 of the columns, whereas mine falls into all 4. So as you'll see, I'm about to do the warp effect and it just warps that middle column and it looks a little bit goofy. I wanted it to really bunch up on the edges rather than just in the middle there. So to circumvent this, just make sure your text only falls into 2 or 3 columns at most. And then you will get this effect to the most legible amount. And then it's the same with the rows. I did 2 rows because he only did 2 rows because he had 2 rows of text, whereas I have 3 rows of text, so I wanted each bit of my text into a row by itself. So I think I ended up doing 5 rows so that the 3 rows in the middle would be my text. So now that you're happy with how your text is warping with this effect over the top, we're going to animate it. I just picked random intervals because I didn't want it to feel very I wanted it to feel a lot more organic. So I find when I pick different frames to animate on, it feels a lot more organic than doing it, say, like every 10 frames it does a movement. So yeah, I did the first interval at like it's just plain nothing text, and then the next one I warped it to the side, then the next one I warped it to the bottom, and then I think I did one more warping it again to the other side, and then I reset it back to the normal text. Luckily, in the end, this ended up syncing up with the song I picked really well for some reason, but in future, if I was to make this and I wanted the movement of the text to fit the song, I would do, as I have spoken about in previous videos, my thing of mapping out the sound spikes and the frames that they fall on, and then animating on those exact frames, and then it should line up once exported and put into Premiere, where I will speak about why I use Premiere for beat syncing more than After Effects when we get to that point. Now, the next step is to make this animation nice and smooth and gooey and lovely. So the easiest way to do that is called Easy Ease. So you highlight all of the keyframes. So if you hover over your composition layer and you click it and click U, it's going to open every single animated keyframe. Highlight all of these and press F9 and it will Easy Ease them. So this makes them so they go really slow to start with, and then they have like a speed spike and then slow down again. So like it's like a wave kind of movement rather than just like one solid speed. And then we're going to make this even smoother by opening the graph editor. And if you highlight all of your keyframes in this, you can adjust the wavelength for every single one of them to be the exact same. I figured out this just this time, so I'm still learning, even though I'm pretty versed in After Effects. So you learn new things every day. But you just drag the arm of the wave across so that it looks like this as I have on the screen, but just have a play around, and it's like the best way to learn how this smoothing effect works. But essentially what I'm telling these ones to do is to go really fast at the start and then slow down towards the end of the movement so it looks really poppy. But if you did it the other way, it'd look really snappy, if that makes sense. But play around with it. It's a really cool feature of After Effects, and I use it on every single animation no matter what. So now if you play your composition, this is what it should look like at this point. It's pretty cool as is, but I wanted to add another effect to it. Now for this next part, I followed along with another YouTuber's video. This was a new effect to me. A lot of the settings in it were very similar to what I have used in the past and I use quite regularly in After Effects. However, adding colorama and 3 adjustment layers, I think there might have been more, but there was a lot, was new to me. Normally I try to stick to 1 or 2 and like 1 or 2 solid layers. There was a lot of steps. I am going to try this effect again and see if I can make a more simple version of it. But for now, if you want to do this effect, I encourage you see the original tutorial that I followed, as I'm not going to take credit for his amazing work. But yeah, I would take it slow with the tutorial and see what you actually really need. But yeah, I'm just going to do a sped up version of this. You can follow along with me if you like. Definitely give the other creator some likes and some love for this amazing effect. It looks really cool. In the end, it ends up looking like the text is kind of burnt in. But yeah, I'm just going to fast forward and I will talk to you again when I am doing the beat sync. So now we're on to the fun part, my favorite part, the beat sync. I originally started this comp with my photo, like my initial photo as you walk into Knotfest, but realized it kind of washed out the writing a lot. So I took it into Photoshop, did some black and white editing, and then brought back the reds in the photo as I just thought it looked cool. So for the text, when you first export it into Premiere Pro, it's going to have a black background. To get rid of this, I just apply a Luma key and you should just chuck it on there and it just instantly disappears. You might have to play around with the threshold a little bit if it's a little bit fuzzy, but for me, it just instantly appeared on this font. So that was nice and easy. For beat syncing, my tried and true method is to have it in Premiere. So as you can see on my timeline, you can visually see the audio and all the different cuts and jumps and spikes. So I like to really zoom in on this audio, and I literally just sync any video change or zoom transition effect control, like literally every single part of my video, I apply it to one of the audio spikes, and without a doubt it's always going to look beat synced. There's probably a more easy way of doing this, but I've done this a lot, so it's just become second nature to me, so it's a lot easier. The one thing to remember though when you're editing in Premiere with audio is put your audio on the second line down, so then when you put your videos in, the audio doesn't cut that audio. Yeah, that's one thing I would like to make easier, is that if I could just turn off audio and videos before I put them in Premiere, but it just seems like an extra step. So yeah, just enjoy this little quick montage of me video editing, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which is really exciting, so stick around if you're keen. If you made it this far, here's a little hint. I am looking into making some more things. But yeah, have a good day. Enjoy your reel making, and I hope you are doing great. Bye.